Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday. I hope all is well. Everyone is enjoying the week and are looking forward to tomorrow's big game at the Etihad. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I thought I'd pop on here and discuss all things Arsenal. Get involved with the big Q&A if you want to. Start hitting me up with your questions and I will try and answer them as best as I can. Or if it's not, just you want to voice your opinion on anything going on at Arsenal at the moment, how the season's going. Really want to talk about the game against Manchester City on Friday. Who do you want to see playing that? What should Mikel Arteta do? That is the big question. Do you rest players or do you go all out, play your strongest team? You've got a whole week to go before the next league game after that. What do you do? That is the big question. So anything you want to talk about, transfers, although, to be honest, at the moment, I can't really answer too many of those questions because I'm not sure what Arsenal are going to do. They've got 5 days to go. They clearly want to sign a new midfielder. Mikel Arteta has said that already. He said it yesterday at the press conference I was at London Colney. But the sort of who that midfielder might be, I can't tell you at the moment because I just don't know, unfortunately. If I could, I would. But unfortunately, I don't. And I don't want to just throw a load of names at you and sort of join in on the speculation. So I'll do my best to talk about it. But if you want to just have a debate or anything about any of those sort of things, just hit me up. I can see loads and loads and loads of you already in the popping up, sending your comments and questions in. If I don't get to your question or your comment, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I promise it's just because there's so many in there. And if you're kind of asking something or saying something that someone else has already said that I've discussed already and pulled up, then there's no point repeating myself because it's going to be a bit boring for you. Got about half an hour to go, half an hour spare here. So this is how I'm going to spend my next half hour. So get all involved. I mean, there's lots of you already popping up. Hello, Curtis. Good to see you. People coming in. Look, someone there from Thailand getting involved. So good to see you from Trinidad as well, all around the world watching, which is great to see. Love finding out where you guys are all watching from. I mean, look, I can't give you an answer. As I've said in the build-up to this, any news on Caicedo, look, Arsenal want the midfielder. That's obvious. On his injury, it's been doing the rounds for the last week or so that it looked like it was bad. Arsenal haven't been really commenting on it and clarifying it, but there's been whispers for a while now that Elneny's injury is pretty serious. We put that to Mikel, obviously, at the press conference yesterday. He wouldn't confirm exactly how bad it is, but look, he's going to be out for a fair while. I think that is pretty clear. And Arsenal want a midfielder. The issue is, what do you do with this midfield situation? Because they want Declan Rice. They're going to be involved in that race for Declan Rice, but that's not going to happen this month because West Ham would be crazy. I mean, you can't get Declan Rice out of West Ham in January. It'd just cause a revolt in the stands at the London Stadium. So yeah, it's something for the summer. So what do you do now? Do you try and get a loan in before then and keep yourself, keep as much money as you possibly can for Declan Rice in the summer? Or do you try and maybe sort of look a little bit further ahead, realise that Elneny's coming to the end of his contract, realise that Sammy Lokonga hasn't really done it yet? And so do you just spend big this window as well and then still spend big in the summer for Declan Rice? It's a big choice to make. Caicedo is one of the players that Arsenal are interested in. Sam Dean at the Telegraph reporting that yesterday. Sam, an excellent reporter who has very much got his finger on the pulse at Arsenal, as I always say. So give him a follow if you don't already. You can find him on Twitter. And he's reporting Arsenal's interest in Caicedo, but it's just a really difficult one to do, isn't it? Brighton are not in that position that they need to sell. They've already sold Trossard. They're in a very good position in the Premier League. Financially, they're very stable. So they just don't need to sell. So it takes something mammoth to test them, to tempt them into selling. Chelsea, Liverpool also interested in Caicedo. So I'm not sure it's one that sounds doable, but you just never know, do you? So, you just never know. Arsenal could suddenly find the money from somewhere. Their cronkies could put it up, decide to roll the dice because of the position they're in, and whack something down on the table that Brighton might consider. But right now, as it stands, it feels like that's one that's probably doubtful for January. It'd very much be one for the summer if it was ever going to happen. Harry says, will Arsenal sign a midfielder? I mean, look, that's a lot of what I've just talked about. They're going to try. Will they do it? I haven't got a crystal ball. I can't say for sure they're going to. They tried at the end of the summer transfer window, didn't they? They really tried to get Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. They bid a few times him. They didn't get it done. And so, as much as they want to, I can't say for sure they will because it depends on the selling club as well. They'll certainly try. It's all I can say at the moment. But whether they actually manage to get a deal over the line, we'll have to just wait and see. Hi Mo, good to hear from you from Somaliland. Good to hear from you. Right, so Aaron's now talking about the Manchester City game, and I tell you what, I agree here with Aaron. I was talking to Lauren yesterday. You know, Lauren, the invincible Arsenal legendary right back. I was talking to him yesterday, and I was talking about this game, and he was absolutely in agreement with me. He said he would absolutely play the strongest team. And I just think he's spot on, and I don't see a reason to really change it. It'll probably I can understand him making a couple of changes, but this is Man City at the Etihad. Arsenal play City in the league in a couple of weeks' time. I just think if you rest everyone, if you send out, you make 10 changes, and you go out and you get battered at the Etihad, which could happen. That Arsenal tend to get battered at the Etihad. Unfortunately, we know that happens. This is a different Arsenal team, but if they go and get battered, I think the knock-on effect that could have on a season could be pretty, it could be big. I remember 2007, 2008, Arsenal went to Man United in the Cup, probably the fourth round. I think it was at this stage again. They went to United in the Cup, and Wenger made loads of changes. They were top of the league at the time. It was the Eduardo season. And then they went to United. They lost 4-0. They made a load of changes. And it was, who's to say if that really was something that had a psychological impact on the rest of the season? But it wasn't a good look. It kind of can kill momentum. And then they went to United later on in the league. They lost. They went to Chelsea and lost. And I just felt it sent out the wrong message that then. And I know this is 16 years on, but I still feel resting everyone this weekend, tomorrow night. And then if Arsenal get hammered, again, I just think it sends out a wrong message ahead of the 2 league games that are coming up. So for me, I'd be going pretty much full strength. I'd be playing Martinelli. I'd be playing Saka. I'd be playing Gabriel. I'd be playing Xhaka. I'd be playing Odegaard. Maybe I would give Thomas Partey a rest just because he's so important. But having said that, I don't see who you play instead of Thomas Partey in a game like this at the Etihad. So, I'd have no issue with Thomas Partey starting as well. So, personally, for me, I don't see many changes, Aaron. I'd go full strength. Listening to Mikel Arteta yesterday, he certainly gave the impression that he wasn't going to make wholesale changes. Someone asking if I'd mind having a podcast on streaming platforms like Spotify. It's just the time, Abu. It's trying to fit everything into the day is pretty difficult. I would love to do all that sort of stuff, but I'm not sure at the moment I'm in the position to have enough free time to do it. My kids don't make it easy. They take up awful lot of my time when they're not at school. And when they are at school, obviously I'm doing my stuff for goal and I'm doing this stuff. So it's all about trying to find the time to do these things. And it's something I've thought about, but I've never got around to yet, I'm afraid. Afternoon, Chris from a cold North London. Indeed, it is freezing cold once again. Roll on the summer. See, here's someone who disagrees with me. And I can't pronounce it. Sorry, mate. Amanya, Lawrence Warner. You say play the second 11. I totally disagree with you, but I absolutely value your opinion. And I know that there's going to be plenty who do agree with you in terms of playing the second 11. But to be fair, Mikel never really does that. Even when you think about the Oxford game in the third round, Saka still started, Martinelli still started. He doesn't always just throw everyone in. So I'm not sure he'd completely play the second 11, even if he does make changes. See, there's lots of split opinions on this, on what you think should happen. What's it, Jamie again talking about midfielder again? I won't just repeat myself over and over again on these. So I'm sure you probably heard my answer in the first one, Jamie. In terms of what I think they'll do with a central midfielder, I think they'll try. No doubt about it, they'll try. I mean, Mikel made that clear yesterday. Whether they can get it over the line or not, we'll have to wait and see. Because it all depends on the player, it depends on the selling club, it depends on what the bid is. It's impossible to predict if they will get it done or not, but they're certainly going to try. And they'll try again in the summer in terms of central midfield. Locatelli, someone's saying here. What do you think about him? He's played at Arsenal, were interested in before. Before he went to Juventus, they were interested in. They didn't get it done. He chose Juventus. He always wanted Juventus, so it was always an unlikely one. Whether they could get him now, I know Juventus are in a bit of turmoil at the moment, but I can't see it. I mean, Weston McKennie, I think they're allowing to leave if a right bid comes in, but he's on his way to Leeds. Well, might be on his way to Leeds. They're talking about trying to get a deal done, those two. I think if they let McKennie go, would they let Locatelli go? I just don't know. I highly doubt it. So I'm not sure that's one that's going to happen this January, I'm afraid. This is a weird one, Michael. I can't give you an answer to this, I'm afraid. I was talking about it. Me and a few of the other journalists were talking about it on the way. We were walking back to the station after the game at the weekend. And we were wondering, like, why haven't they arranged this Everton home game yet? Because it feels like this is a perfect time because they haven't got many matches at the moment. They're just playing weekend to weekend, basically until the Europa League starts up again. So I'm a bit surprised. My only thought was possibly they're waiting to see what happens against Manchester City, because if they lose in the cup, Everton are already out of the cup because they lost to United. I wonder if they might try and squeeze it in the weekend of whenever the 5th round fixtures are going to be played. So I'm wondering if that's what they're waiting for, and they'd rather see if they can get the game in a weekend rather than a midweek. But again, that's purely me guessing. There's no sort of information or context behind that. That's just raised, but that's just my thoughts. But yeah, that's all I can think about really, because it does seem surprising. You'd think they'd want to get this out of the way now than trying to squeeze it in at the end of the season when the games are coming thick and fast and you've got all the Europa League games to worry about. Hi, Axpis. Yes, we do have some contracts that need sorting out sooner rather than later. Very much so. We know that. We're hoping that we'd have had some news by now on the big three. It hasn't happened. They're still rumbling on. They're still trying to sort it all out, but nothing has been confirmed yet, which is a shame. I think Mikel said earlier in the season he wanted it sorted. He's saying he didn't want it to become a distraction. And I think the one thing you can say about that at the moment is I don't think it's becoming a distraction. I think Arsenal fans are talking about it, but elsewhere, I don't think it's generating too much traction. You think of the Ozil and the Sanchez sagas, it was being talked about all the time because Arsenal were pretty poor. And so that was always a big thing. But because Arsenal are winning at the moment, I don't think there's too much focus on it. And so I don't think it is a distraction at all. So I think Arsenal will be quite comfortable at the moment, but having said that, they'll still want to get them done. They'll still want to get them wrapped up. You just can't. I mean, you look at Saka and what he's doing at the moment. I was thinking about it when he scored that goal at the weekend, and you're just thinking you cannot afford to lose this player. He has got to say, you've got to build your team around him. Arsenal through and through. Young kid doing what he's doing right now. He's got to be signed up. The same with Saliba, the same with Martinelli. This is a team you've got to build on. You've got to continue to build on over the next few years. If you do that, the ingredients are there for such a long, successful era at Arsenal at the moment, given the age of the squad, given the financial capability of adding to that squad, especially if they get Champions League. So you just don't want to lose any players. So it's absolutely essential. I know, I agree with you. They do need to sort it out sooner rather than later. I mean, look, I can understand, Connor. Yeah, the fact that triggered the extra year does worry you, but it just gives Arsenal a bit of breathing space. That was always going to happen. It's the same with the done with Charlie Patino, for example, because these talks, they're going on a long time. And I think for the players as well, and the agents especially, I thought before the World Cup, it would have really surprised me if they got it done, just because if you're an agent and you're in a bit of a contract negotiation, you wouldn't say to your player, okay, let's sign it now 2 weeks before the World Cup, because it would just be a bit madness, really, because if that player then goes to the World Cup, has an absolute blinder of a tournament, why would you have agreed to a new deal then when you can come back and you're in a much stronger position? Unfortunately, this is things that, agents and think about, and because they need to, because they've got their clients' interests at heart. They don't want to agree to a new contract, then a couple of weeks later sort of look at what they've agreed and thought, oh, we should have held off a little bit, because look at what we could have demanded now from these players. So, and I think now also the clubs are, they're doing so well in the league and they're potentially on for the Premier League. Again, agents are probably looking at that and thinking, oh, should we hold off a little bit? And if they end up winning the league this season, are we going to be in an even stronger position next summer to demand even more money? All of this sort of thing has to come into the equation. And so I wouldn't be too worried by the fact that they've had to trigger the extra year. I think we all would have, like I said before, we all wanted it to be done before that, and so you can just forget about it and not have it on the back of your mind. But talks are ongoing. They are still taking place. And I think Arsenal are still hoping that all three are going to sign the new deals, but we just have to wait and see. It's patience. I know it's a horrible word. I talk about it all the time when I talk about transfers. It's the same with contracts. It's just all about patience and getting these deals over the line. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be sooner rather than later. Oh, Harley, this is a difficult one without thinking about it. I think, oh God, how do you choose? It's what an award this is going to be at the end of the season if it carries on, if the players carry on in the form they're in. Personally, for me, I think Granit Xhaka has just been absolutely immense. I think the whole story with Granit Xhaka as well has just been such a brilliant story. I think he has to be 100% in the running. His consistency is just off the charts. I think Martin Odegaard, what he's doing is just, I mean, there's no better player in the Premier League, I don't think, right now than Martin Odegaard. And what he's doing is fantastic. Bukayo Saka's continuing to do what he always does. Saliba's barely put. I mean, there's so many to choose from. Partey, barely even spoke about Partey, but I thought Partey had a slow start to the season, but now he's in fantastic form. Although I thought certainly in the first half against United, I thought he struggled a little bit, certainly with his passing. But Partey's been brilliant. So how do you choose a player of the season? I think it's going to be such a tight contest. I think personally for me, I'd give it to Granit Xhaka at the moment, just because he's been so consistent. He's surprised so many people with how he's playing. And I think he's so influential behind the scenes as well, what he's doing in the change room. I think I'd probably give it to Granit, but there's so many options. And I know so many people would disagree with me and have their own thoughts on this. It's an interesting one, Christian. Will Kivior make his debut? Again, this is something I was talking about. Me and, I don't know if you know him, Kaya, I'm sure you do. Kaya Kaniak, he's the Arsenal correspondent at football.london. We were in the press conference at London Colney yesterday after Arteta had finished, and we were talking about it. And he was saying that he thought Kivior would start. And I was like, I don't think he will. I'm not sure you throw a new sign in who's never played for the club before. Do you really throw him in at the Etihad away at the Etihad against Manchester City? It's a bit of a baptism of fire, potentially going up against Erling Haaland or Alvarez in your first game when you've only been in the country and at the club for about a week. I think Gabriel plays. I think he might play Rob Holding alongside Gabriel. I think if he's going to make a change at centre back, it'll be that. But personally, I think Gabriel plays, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's Gabriel and Saliba. To be honest, I'm not sure we'll see Kivior start. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm not sure. I can't really see the wisdom in it. I think it could do him more harm than good, to be honest. Joel, hi. Thanks for the question. Any update on Fresneda? I can't give any more of an update than what I've given in the last couple of videos, I'm afraid, because I don't think it's really moved on. It's still a case of him sort of trying to weigh up exactly what's best for his career and where to go. I think there's a few clubs who are in the running, Arsenal and Dortmund especially. And it's just a case of him sort of choosing where he thinks he should be heading to. And I don't think that's really moved on the last couple of days. Even if it does happen, though, it's not really one for this season. As far as I'm aware, that he'd be going back to Spain on loan for the remainder of the season anyway, even with Cedric Suarez about to join Fulham. I think Arsenal feel they're well stocked at right back with Ben White and Tomiyasu. So, Fresneda, I don't think he'd be one for this season anyway. It'd just be one for the sort of longer term. So there's not really any more of an update I can give you. That's the latest when it comes to him. It's just about waiting for his decision in terms of what club he is going to choose, if he chooses one. Oki says, go strong for tomorrow. Lots of you again asking about midfielders and Casido and stuff, and I just can't, like I said, I've already answered it, so I can't keep going over the same one. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I did give a big thank you at one of my videos earlier on the week when I did pass the 80k followers. Mark, I really appreciate your support, obviously, and I honestly can't believe I'm on 80,000 subscribers. It seems mad to me when I first started this channel, not having a clue what I was doing. I still don't, to be honest, but not having a clue what I was doing. Thinking this is probably going to be a disaster. I'll do about 2 or 3 videos and then I'll can it because no one's watching and no one cares. And obviously you do care and you do want to watch. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate all of your support as always. And there's your answer. I've already just answered your question there, Rich. I'm very, very surprised. Who would want to, when I started it again, who would want to listen to me rattle on about Arsenal? But it's great, and I feel very privileged to be able to do it. So thank you very much indeed. Hello, everyone. Hello, Paul from Ghana. Hope you're well. What's this one? How is the weather there, and how difficult is it to travel for work? Weather's pretty horrible, Paul. I can't really dress it up. That's about as well. Like I say, it's horrible, cold. In terms of traveling to work, it's fine though. I work from home anyway during the week. It's only traveling for the matches, and I'm not going to the Etihad tomorrow either because I can't make it because of family commitments. I will still be working. I'll be covering the game, doing what I usually do, but I'll have to do it from home. So I'm not actually traveling up to the Etihad on Friday. People watching from Uganda, from Devon, Russ from Maidenhead, a lot closer to home. Well, if that's where you're watching from, maybe you're just laughing at Maidenhead, which I hope you're not. And from Malaysia, from Brisbane, Australia. I can't believe how many people where you watch it through. Uh, any truth in the interest in Onana? Look, I think I can't confirm it. I haven't been able to confirm that yet. If I had, I would have spoken about it or written a story about it. So it just seems like there's certainly reports of Arsenal's interest in him. I saw today that he's apparently rejected a chance of a move to Chelsea, and he wants to stay with Everton until the end of the season to help out. So I think even if Arsenal are interested, it's not one that's going to happen this month anyway. So I will keep putting the feelers out on that one, and if I do get any sort of confirmation from my end, from people that I trust and from sources that I know, then I will of course report about it. But until I do get that, then I can't really talk any more about it, because I'd just be sort of talking about speculation. I don't really like to do that. What's this? Hi, Charles. Great work. Thank you, Pat. Can you see? What's this? Can you see? I presume. Can you see a lone player being recalled if we don't get a midfielder? I can't, to be honest. I don't think so. You know, there's people like Charlie Patino out on loan, people like that. Obviously, Miguel Aziz has just gone to Wigan, but I can't really see any of the youngsters being recalled from loan. I'd be very, very surprised. I just think they'd want to keep them there, keep them playing week in, week out, because that's best for their development. Bringing them home to sort of sit on the bench just doesn't really do them any good. So I'd be very, very surprised. I think the priority is certainly going to be signing a new midfielder before the window shuts, not bringing someone back from loan. Kevin Kelly, I've not thought of that scenario at all. I have to say, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm not sure West Ham would want to do that, because, again, I think probably it disrupts their season. It has everyone knowing their captain's definitely gone in the summer. I'm not sure that would be something that they would entertain right now. It certainly makes sense from an Arsenal point of view, but no, I can't see that's something that's going to happen. It's going to be really intriguing. It's going to be, I'd say, the transfer story of the summer, no doubt, is going to be who gets Declan Rice. There's going to be so much interest in him. Arsenal, United, Liverpool, perhaps, depending what happens with Bellingham. Chelsea, definitely. It's going to be intriguing to see who he goes for, where he goes. Hopefully it's Arsenal, because I think it'd be an absolutely magnificent signing if Arsenal could get Declan Rice at his age, at his quality, the level he could potentially reach under Mikel Arteta. It'd be one of the most exciting Arsenal signings, I think, since Sol Campbell, in terms of the statement it sends out. And they could get one of these players who you think for such a long time has felt quite untouchable from an Arsenal point of view, in terms of his stature, in terms of the other clubs who would be in for him. If they could sign him, I just think it'd be such a monumental signing for Arsenal. So hopefully they do. Hello, Mohammed from Florida. Hope you're well. Will Cedric get a PL medal if he moves? I think I need to find out the exact truth, the exact sort of truth, is, if that's the right word, of this. Because I don't know for sure yet. But again, we were talking about it at the weekend at the match, a few of us. And I think you do basically what Arsenal can do now. Before, you had to play a certain amount of games. That's not the case anymore. You don't have to play 10 games like you had to back in the day. I remember Martin Keown came on against Leicester in the Invincible season, because that was his 10th appearance. That meant he would get a Premier League medal. That rule doesn't exist anymore. Basically, Arsenal can, I think they get sent like 25 medals, and then Arsenal get the choice of who can take them. But I think they can also apply for more if needs be. So I imagine Cedric would get a Premier League medal, but it would be down to Arsenal to make that decision, because, like I said, they'll get sent a certain amount from the Premier League. But look, I don't want to talk about any of that, because you're going to jinx it. We're not allowed to talk about that yet. Talk about that in May. Not in January. I don't want to. You know how superstitious I am. I don't want to jinx any of it. A few weeks ago, we knew Smith Rowe was coming back at some point. Yeah, our priority was another attacking midfielder. The moment Partey leaves our squad, we look weaker. Do you think priority is correct? Look, I think Arsenal needed to sign someone who can play across the front line. Absolutely, no doubt about it. I thought that was a priority, and I can understand that. Why? Yes, Smith Rowe was coming back, but he hadn't played for 4 months. I think as well, Mikel likes to play him. I think we saw it before he started getting his injuries. I think Mikel was moving a little bit towards him playing in more of the central role in this new system that Arsenal are operating in under Mikel Arteta. So I can absolutely understand why they needed Trossard. You needed some cover for Saka on the right-hand side. You needed someone who can play centrally, can play left. He ticks all of those boxes. He can even play as the number 9, as a sort of false 9 if needs be. But I do think, we've all known that Partey is so integral to this team, and if he gets injured, then Arsenal are screwed, basically. So I can understand why they're looking for a midfielder now. But I know a lot of us and a lot of you, a lot of Arsenal fans don't rate El Neni, but Mikel does rate El Neni. So I think when El Neni was there, I don't think the need was quite as pressing because Mikel does trust him to come in and do a job. And to be fair to El Neni, he does come in and do a job. He's no Thomas Partey, we know that, but he does come in and do a job. He never lets you down. And so I think it's more that the injury to El Neni has forced this situation. And I think if he had stayed fit, I'm not sure they would really be pushing from midfielder now. I think they'd have kept their powder dry and then really sort of pushed the boat out for Rice in the summer. I think El Neni's injury has changed that. So I'm not really going to criticise Arsenal for going out and signing Trossard earlier on in this window rather than focusing on a central midfielder. Hello, Patricio. Lots of you wanting Casido to come in. Morning, says Baby Cosmos, wherever you're watching that from. Certainly not morning here anymore, but morning wherever you are around the world. Afternoon, Charles. Any players you reckon could move away from Arsenal during the coming summer and a rough fee for each? This is an interesting one. Good question. Now, the answer is not going to be based on anything that I've heard information-wise on who's going to leave, but I think we all know that Kieran Tierney could be a potential sale this summer. He's not playing much. It's very, very clear that Zinchenko is absolutely Mikel's man when it comes to the left-back situation. When you look at the way that Arteta plays and the way he wants his team to play and the way he wants his left-back to play, Kieran Tierney doesn't really fit that bill. He's that old school, get on the overlap, whip the balls in, fullback, and a very, very good one as well. Let's not forget that. But I just think the way this team is evolving, the way the formation's evolving, the way Arteta sees things evolving over the next couple of years, it feels like Tierney might be a sellable asset. And Arsenal have to sell players. You don't want to weaken your squad, obviously. But Arsenal have to get better at selling players. They need to start bringing some money in from selling players. So when you look at potential decent money from the squad players they have, Kieran Tierney certainly fits that bill. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went somewhere in the summer, because I think you could get good money for him. You know, maybe, a Newcastle, someone like that. You don't want to strengthen rivals, and Newcastle are certainly going to be a rival, but it wouldn't surprise me if they came in for him, someone of that sort of stature with that sort of money, and took a look at Kieran Tierney. Maybe he could go abroad. I don't know, but he's one that I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it will happen, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I think you're looking at Nuno Tavares. I think Arsenal could get good money for Nuno in the summer. He's a good loan spell at Marseille. He's young. He wouldn't be on absolutely monumental wages or anything like that that's going to put everyone off. So, you know, you could get some decent money for him. Elsewhere, it's tough. It's tough to really choose. I mean, Balogun again is what do you do with Balogun in the summer? Do you bring him back and actually play him, or get him involved, or do you look to take advantage of this excellent loan spell he's had, and the fact he's got a good contract, good level contract now? Do you think this is probably the highest his value is going to be, and do you look to cash in? Because I think you could get good money for Balogun. So he's another one. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it happened. But again, Rob Holding, I think he's going to want to go out and play. I think he's so important, Rob Holding, to the squad and how popular he is and what he does behind the scenes. But look, he's not playing. He doesn't want to do that for the rest of his career. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he goes. So there are players there that can leave, I think, in the summer. And Mikel would be willing to let go if a good offer came in. It's just about what a good offer is, and what clubs are going to be willing to pay that. So I think, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the summer in terms of players moving on. But Arsenal have to 100% get better at selling players. They need to start making profits from some of these players. David from Michigan saying hello. Hi. South Africa. Yaub there. Michael says, what's going on with Lokonga? Is he not developing as hoped? I think that's a fair statement. I think he's not developing as hoped. I say it's just the thing with Sambi, and I keep getting people having a go at me when I talk about Sambi, and I don't want to criticise him just for criticising's sake. And clearly he's a good player. You wouldn't be at Arsenal if you're not. But the thing that worries me with Lokonga at the moment is just I don't see him. I still don't really know what he is as a player. And that worries me when he's been at the club for 18 months. He doesn't seem to be any further along in terms of his development as what he was when he signed. And I know he hasn't played that many games, but when I watch him play, and he's had a lot of opportunities to make an impact on a match, to show his personality in a match. And yet every single game that ticks by that he plays and he ends up going off, you just think, oh, it's another opportunity that he hasn't taken. And that's the big worry with me when it comes to Sambi. I'd love for him to kick on and to suddenly start showing that he is a player who is good enough to really make an impact at Arsenal. But right now, it's difficult, and I can't. It's really difficult to say that he is because I've just not seen it. So I think it's a fair statement to say he's not developing as hoped. I don't think it's the end for him by any means. You know, we're talking there just before about players who could potentially leave in the summer. I think with Sambi, you're looking at, especially if you're going to be bringing in a Declan Rice, if that happens and you bring another midfielder, you look at Sambi, and I do wonder if maybe a loan next season, just get him playing week in, week out next season, potentially in a Premier League club, and then we can have a really good look at what he's like, because at the moment it just doesn't feel like he's going to be playing week in, week out at all, and there's no real opportunity for him to do that. So I do wonder if maybe a loan next season somewhere else in the Premier League. You know, if Burnley come up, Vincent Kompany's managing them, he had him at Anderlecht, knows him really well. Could that be an option? It could well be, and you know, it'd be great to see him playing week in, week out in the Premier League, just to get a real sort of glimpse of what he could be like. So, yeah, it's an interesting one with Sambi. Thoughts on Ramsdale getting nominated for Save of the Month? Yeah, I saw that. The one thing I would say about it is I was actually surprised that it was that save that was nominated. I think if there's any Ramsdale save that should be nominated for Save of the Month, it was the one he made from Rashford in the second half against United last weekend that took a deflection. I thought that was the best save he's made out of all of them this month. Especially when you see the replay, it was a fantastic save, that with the deflection, with the speed it came at him. It was a really strong hand. I thought that was his best save. So yeah, it's great that he's nominated, obviously, but yeah, that would have been the save that I would have given him for. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard myself, so I can't. I've seen the links. I've seen people talk about it. I've not heard it myself, so I don't think they're strong. I'd be surprised. His injury record's not great. Arsenal have just signed Trossard. It doesn't really. They've got Martinelli. They've got Saka. Trossard's just coming. It just doesn't really make sense. It's one of those ones that I look at and I see, and immediately I have some sort of red flags in my mind, thinking that doesn't sound right. So I wouldn't be getting too excited about it. Right, I'm going to have to go in a sec because we're on 32 minutes at the moment. I've got a call that I need to make coming up soon. So just a last couple here. This is an interesting one from Sam. Interested in your order, best to worst. Pires, Overmars, Lundberg, Sanchez, Parla. Oh my God, Sam. Talk about saving one of the most difficult questions till the end. Best to worst. Okay. Best, Pires. Oh my God, this is impossible. I can't answer this. It's impossible because all of them are great. I'd put Sanchez last, not because of his quality, because he was an absolute machine and a monster for Arsenal, and he was brilliant, but he didn't win anything apart from the Cup, FA Cup, and he's just not. And again, this is probably popularity rule in my head more than anything, but those other players mean so much to me because it was the greatest era of my life watching Arsenal, and I was in the stands for it all. And so I would go Pires, Parla, Lundberg, Overmars, Sanchez. But again, that's not so much on quality, that's more on popularity in terms of my view and what those sort of players meant to me. But they're all brilliant. But I would say four of them are absolute legends and one of them's not, which is why Sanchez is probably last for me. So there you go. God, that was really, really difficult. Right, I'm going to do a couple more. Do you think Eddie can break into the England team, or will he go with Ghana? I mean, look, if he was going to go with Ghana, I think he would have gone by now. I think it's pretty clear he wants to have a crack at England, and the form he's in, you wouldn't put it past him being able to do that. I think it's a shame that there's no games now. Well, it's not, because I don't want any England games now. But if there was, I think he'd probably definitely get a call up. I think the next games are in March when Jesus might have just come back. Will Eddie be playing then? I don't know, but you know, there's no hot striker really apart from Harry Kane probably and Marcus Rashford when it comes to English strikers at the moment. So I think he definitely wants to have a crack at England. Then he'll give it another season perhaps to try and force his way in. If not, then he might go to Ghana. But he's certainly trying to. He certainly wants a crack at England. Look, he's the under-21s record goal scorer, so he certainly deserves a shot if he's playing well and scoring in the Premier League, which he is now. Right, just bringing up a few more. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. I mean, Patino's not going to get recalled. Jose. They need to sort Patino's contract out is what they need to do. They haven't even really started with that yet, so they need to get that sorted out before they worry about recalling him and put him in the Premier League team. The Tielemans one is interesting. I mean, they've been interested in him for a while. They've been looking at him for a while. They've never pulled the trigger. Makes me think, why would they do it now? And he's not really someone who'd come in and cover for Partey and cover for the El Nini's injury. So I'm just not really sure. Okay, look, I'm going to call this time now. I'm kind of looking at all of these questions, and they're all pretty much all the ones I've already answered already. So, look, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Do appreciate your time as always. I try and do more of these. I don't do enough of them, and I should do more of them. So, apologies for that, and I will try and do more of them. And thank you very much for watching. Appreciate your time. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the build up to Manchester City tomorrow, and wherever you're watching it around the world, enjoy the game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. I'll speak to you soon.